Welcome to West Worthing Baptist Church, and happy fourth Sunday in Advent to those of you who have not gone to church and are watching on Sunday morning. Those of you who did go to church may be watching this a little bit closer to Christmas, but whatever time of day or whatever day you're watching this, come and join the millions of Christians who today light the fourth candle, illuminating further the path to Bethlehem. The fourth candle is lit. And we in our church are thinking of love. Pink hearts and syrupy softness, maybe? Well, we do think of Mary. Mary, the mother mild. We pick the quietest child in the congregation. And her parents will dress her in a blue dress and a veil. And she will sit very quietly and gently, and she'll stroke the baby doll under the canopy of the makeshift stable. Passive, gentle, silent, accepting. A mother nursing her baby while the world outside is in turmoil. But in the stable, well, in the stable, all is calm, all is bright. She is gentle, loving teenage girl of the silent night, who smiles politely at the shepherds and the wise men from the east, and allows herself to be carried away by Joseph wherever they should go. It seems people think even childbirth is quiet from her lips. And she swaddles her baby. The girl in the blue dress is quiet. She is looked on by her proud parents from the congregation taking pictures while she silently clutches the baby doll. What does love look like? How many children have you met, convinced that their parents don't actually love them when they do? And how many parents and grandparents have you met who question, does my grown-up child love me? Now that they're busy with their own lives and have so much to do, and their world is getting larger as my world shrinks ever smaller. Do they love me? Love is like light, sometimes a little difficult to spot, unless there's darkness, of course. When the night is dark, every star can be seen. I remember a night when our car broke down. We were in Mozambique, and it looked like we were in the middle of nowhere, and it was quite scary, actually. But as it got darker and darker, we weren't scared anymore because we realized we weren't actually in the middle of nowhere. All around us, lights lit up as it got darker and darker. The lights from the windows of houses and huts all around us, and even some noise from a nearby party that somebody was hosting. And so darkness helped us to see that there were people around. In the light, light seems to hide. But in the dark, light always shines brighter. And in many ways, love is like light. When everything's going well, it can sometimes be difficult to remember, to see, to notice, because we maybe expect that love ought to be this gentle silent experience. And life is too loud for gentle, silent sounds. But then when darkness comes, the light of love can be seen, because love is not actually mild and quiet. Love is powerful and wild. It tears down barriers and overcomes the greatest of floods. Love is the force that expels life through the travail of near death. It's the woman who stands between a soldier, an armed soldier, and her child. It's the husband who swims toward a shark. I actually heard in the news about 15 years ago a story about a couple who were on honeymoon. They went hiking in the wilderness. They went hiking in the mountains, and a mountain lion jumped in and snatched the husband, and the newlywed wife ran back. She had been ahead somewhat, and she ran back, didn't know what else to do, and she hurled stones at the lion and actually chased the lion away and made it let go of her husband's limb. I can't remember if it was a leg or an arm. She was in the news everywhere as, you know, this great wife who loved her husband so much. But love does show best against a backdrop of darkness. There have been times when I doubted the love of the church, even our church. We all have moments of feeling annoyed or disappointed with church. But this year, when all hell broke loose, the church showed its love in that everyone was receiving or giving phone calls. We were showered with offers to deliver groceries to the vulnerable. And even people who were vulnerable were forgetting that they were vulnerable and were asking if they could go out and get necessities for other people. Everyone was rallying behind the church, and giving was increased. I know of one member who even baked a cake and dropped off to somebody else for no reason whatsoever except love, I guess. I had seen the church loving before. When a member of the church died, there were so many people offering to come and move the chairs for the funeral that we actually had to say no thank you to some of the people. Otherwise, there would be so many people moving chairs that it would be a mess and we wouldn't be able to organize anything. I remember once visiting a person who was recently widowed, and she showed me this array of cards around her living room. So many people had sent cards, and she said the phone was ringing quite a lot with so many asking if she was okay, if she needed anything. Maybe that's why Advent is the season of light and love, because it's a time of grieving. Advent is waiting for salvation, because it contains in it the recognition that the world needs salvation. It's lighting candles every Sunday because we come to the realization that the world lies in darkness. And so, because of this, it needs the light of the world. Because of this grief of the world, grief of the state of humankind and the state of nature, we wait expectantly and hoping. Every year we wait, and every year we recognize more and more that the world dwells in darkness. And as such, the coming of the light of God is best seen in our grief for the world, in our grief for the people in the world and nature. Love is always best shown. Our first lection for today is taken from 2 Samuel chapter 7. And here we find David wanting to build a temple. Now, throughout antiquity, kings have built temples. and churches in order to show just how pious they are. Now, we know that it has always been political propaganda, but God, it seems, doesn't approve of David's pet project. I've not lived in a house since the day I brought up the people from Israel, from Egypt. And to this day, I've always been moving around in a tent or a tabernacle. Wherever I've moved about among all the people of Israel, did I ever speak anything? Did I ever say that I wanted people to build a house? I took you personally from pasture, from following the sheep, to be a prince over the people of Israel. And I've been with you wherever you've gone. And then God changes completely the subject of what they are talking about. And God begins to say, I will appoint you a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them so that they will live in their own place. They will have a space for themselves of safety in the world, and they will not be disturbed, and they will not be afflicted anymore. And I will give you rest from all your enemies. I will make you a house. Your house and your kingdom will be made sure forever before me. Isn't this so interesting? David wants to build a house for God, whatever his intentions are. And God turns around and says, no, I've never asked for that, because I've always just been with the people, with whoever I'm walking with. But I'll tell you what, you won't build me a house, but I will build you a house forever, a house that will be a secure place for you and for all the people who are following you. He changes the subject, he flips things around completely, because he is this God with the people, and he is this God who makes everything change. He reveals himself here as a free, mobile, dynamic God who sojourns and comes and goes wherever people need him to be. David tries to build a house for God, but God turns around and decides that David is not the giver of gifts. David is the recipient, and God is the giver of gifts. You cannot build me a house, but I can build you a house that will protect you and give you a space, a safe space in the world. Now, the New Testament lection for this Sunday is the oldest Advent hymn in all of Christianity. And here we find Mary, not the girl in a blue dress, looking down meekly and silently, but a girl who has an opinion on what this prophecy from 1 Samuel chapter 7, what it actually means. We discover later in the Gospels that many in her time didn't actually see it in the way she saw it. Many wouldn't have agreed with her. Many believed that the house of David, established forever, meant a great dynastic king, powerful, wealthy, warrior king who would catapult the nation into a new age. But this, so not so silent Mary, has her own idea of what this prophecy means, and she has no problem speaking up and singing it aloud for all to understand what she believes is happening and what she hopes for in her heart. And Mary says, my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. For he has looked down on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. And his mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. And now she begins her interpretation of the prophecy. And she says, he has shown strength with his arm, and he has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lonely. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel, all of them in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise that he made to our ancestors. You know, I hadn't realized until this week that the Magnificat is sung at Elizabeth's door. The two women are pregnant and they meet together for the first time in a while, both of them carrying boys who will grow up to change the world and then be killed for it. And they greet each other at the door when Mary arrives. Inside, sat on a chair maybe, is Zachariah, or maybe he's at the door with his wife, greeting Mary too, and he is the father of John the Baptist. Here is a man with the proper authority on what this prophecy means, on what everything means. Here is a man who has been trained. He is a priest. He is somebody who works at the temple. He knows how to read. He knows he has been reading the prophecies, unlike the illiterate teenage girl from nowhere. Zachariah is the official person here in this trio of people. But in this scene, he endures the divinely appointed silence. And from the lips of the teenage illiterate girl spring forth an ancient carol that is so subversive, so radical, that governments have outlawed its singing.
Did you know that during the British rule of India, the Magnificat was prohibited from being sung in church? Guatemala's government discovered Mary's words about God's preferential love for the poor to be too dangerous and revolutionary. Mary's words were inspiring the Guatemalan poor to believe that change was indeed possible. Thus, their government banned any public recitation of Mary's words. Similarly, after the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, the ones whose children had disappeared during the Dirty War, when they placed the Magnificat's words on posters throughout the Capitol Plaza, and the military junta of Argentina outlawed any public display of Mary's words. Bonhoeffer, before being executed by Nazis, said, "The Song of Mary is the oldest Advent hymn. It is at once the most passionate, the wildest. One might even say the most revolutionary Advent hymn ever sung. This is not the gentle, tender, dreamy Mary, whom we sometimes sing in paintings. This song has none of the sweet, nostalgic, or even playful tones of some of our Christmas carols. It's instead a hard, strong, inexorable song about the power of God and the powerlessness of humankind."
The God who refuses a house, but instead gives a house, grants a dwelling place, a place of belonging for all of humanity within the kingdom of God, resting in the person of Christ, is a God of wondrous reversals. A God whose love turns everything around. He is love. He is light, and in him there is no darkness. This is the love that has come into the world. A love that is wild and giving, a love that loses itself for the sake of finding its beloved, a love that faces dangers, mortality, and resurrection for the ones that he loves, a love that fights for wondrous reversals like the Magnificat tells us about. In a few months, the young Mary will be forced to walk 70 miles while full term with her baby all the way into Bethlehem. And from her place in the stable, while others saw only a star leading them to her baby, she looks up, but sees the mount that rises in the horizon. From there, she could see the infinite walls of Herod's palace. She believed that God's promise of a house and a great name to David was not about one man who would be great, but that all people that he represented would be lifted up and given a place in the world. The powerful down from their thrones, so that the lowly are lifted up. The hungry filled, but the greedy sent away from their place of power. It is a powerful image of reversal. Her faith is a powerful light in all the darkness. Her God's love is evident in the bleak midwinter. It's evident here because the God who accepts no house only gives it away. And this God is there with her, showing her a different perspective, not the perspective of the star, but the perspective of what's wrong in the world. That is true light in darkness. And his love is here, changes everything by just being with her. And in his love, this God whose love changes everyone and changes everything, gives a place to those who have no place, grants light that pierces through and dissipates all darkness, causes powerful reversals of reality. This God has made a home in this world. And this God is there with you today. Amen.
Waiting for the days soon dawning,
This Advent, may you be a little bit more like Mary. May you be able to see the darkness in the world so clearly that the love of God will shine so much brighter, and you will believe and understand the reversals and changes that God's presence brings into your life and wants to bring into all the world. The world is now too dangerous and too beautiful for anything but love. So may your eyes be so blessed that you see God in everyone, your ears so you hear the cry of the poor. May your hands be so blessed that everything you touch is a sacrament. Your lips so you speak nothing but the truth with love. May your feet be so blessed that you run to those who need you. And may your heart be so opened, so set on fire, that your love, yes, your love, changes everything.